Well, let's move on now. And yesterday, the Ghana Statistical Service also released some data on Ghana's unemployment rate. And it says that the average rate of unemployment in the country has risen to 14.7% in the first 3 quarters of 2023. So the number of unemployed youth aged between quarters. First 3 quarters of 2023. This is a report for 2023. So the number of unemployed youth aged between 15 and 35 rose from about 1.2 million to over 1.3 million during the same period, with the rate among females consistently higher than males. And this is according to records sourced from the annual Household Income and Expenditure Survey Quarter 3 Labor Bulletin by the GSS. The survey further indicated that the number of youth without jobs in 2022 only saw a dip in the second quarter of last year. The sharp increase in unemployment rate of females between the fourth quarter of 2022 and the first quarter of 2023 has culminated in a wider unemployment gap, gender gap in 2023 relative to 2022. So about 440,000 persons joined the labor force between 2023 first quarter and 2023 third quarter, of which more than 60% were employed during the period. So that leaves it about 30% or so who were unemployed within that same period, but there were more females who were unemployed than males. And I'll start with you, since I ended with you. I mean, is this any disturbing, looking at the fact that consistently we've heard the NPP indicates that they have created jobs? They do admit that there's a lot more work to be done, but at least they've been able to create, the last time I checked, 2.1 million jobs so far.
Bella, before I come on to that one, I also want to ask the question, what happened to Honorable Osei Mensah's position as Parliamentary Minister for Parliamentary Affairs? I don't know if he was reshuffled or something. So we need to also look, has he also resigned from that
Well,
position?
we are yet to get details on that. We've also been asking the same question.
Okay, but Bella, you said something. You said the youth between 15 to 35 years.
Yes.
At 15, you're not supposed to be working. So why does the data cover 15 years? At 15, you're a child. And we Ghana does not engage in child labor. Do you get me? The youth, or those within the bracket of 18 to 35, are those who can work. At 15, you cannot work. You are supposed to be in school. So if the data of the statistical service is covered, then they have to go back and redo their work.
Well, let me just read this. So it says here,
35.
Under the Ghana Children Act 1998, minimum age for admission of children into employment is 15.
No, but it's wrong. I mean, because you are like when you are talking about the youth, it's from age 18 to 35. At 15, you should be in school. Then they should redo it. 15 years. Somebody at 15 is in JSS. Finishing JSS. So how can you capture that person as somebody who should be employed?
So in fact, I'm reading further. It says that the Children's Act, as per 1998, when Ghana's Parliament ratified the Act, it says that the minimum age for children to be involved in light work is 13, and the minimum age for hazardous work is 18.
Light work is not employment. That is not employment.
What is
light work? Oh, maybe sweeping at home, helping your mother in the shop. You are not paid. When you talk about employment, then it should be.
Probably that's the criteria
you should be paid.
That's the criteria for calculating the
No, but you should. Nobody should be paid. 15 years for me. How can you say that 15 years you work? Do you get me? We have to really look at that law, because 15 years is a child. So if you are saying that 15 years you can work, then the children working on the Volta Lake, some are 15, then nobody should say that we engage in child labor. Because 15, you are about, as I must say, you are about finishing JSS. Do you get me? That's one aside. So I think it has to be looked at. 15 years is a child. A 15-year-old cannot go and get pregnant. If you sleep with a 15-year-old, you have slept with a child. Do you get me? It is illegal.
Yeah.
If a 15 yes. If you make a 15-year-old pregnant, do you get me? You have defiled a child.
Okay.
So, talking about, everybody knows that we have issues with unemployment. If the government says that they have employed people, creating employment is different from recruitment. You get me?
Okay.
And there should be some clarity on this one. Are they talking about general employment, as in even private sector, self-employed women, hairdressers, seamstresses, food vendors? Are they talking about everything, or they are just talking about employment in the public sector, formal employment?
Well, they didn't specify, but
That
based
is the
on
point.
that,
So
yes.
we need to find out what they mean by women are unemployed more than men.
Before you come in, let me just say that. So Dr. Sarkodie, he is a professor of economics at University of Ghana. He says that according to the International Labour Organization, of which Ghana is a member, the legal age of employment is 15. Children below 15 are not supposed to work. If they work, it's called child labour. So the legal employment age in Ghana is 15 years.
It can be, but I do not agree. A 15-year-old should be in school. They should really look at the law. A 15-year-old should be in school.
So that would mean changing a number of laws.
Yes,
Because
they have to
National
change
Youth
it.
Authority Act 2016, Act 939 says that definition of a youth is from 15 to 35 years. Good morning, Lerato. She just sends that as well.
They should change it, because a 15-year-old should not be working. A 15-year-old cannot look after him or herself. How can you put that child in employment? What kind of employment would that be? How productive? You see, a 15-year-old, if you know a typical 15-year-old, most of them are scatterbrains. You need to guide them. Do you get me? So how can you tell me the 15-year-old? Then it should be changed. The fact that it is in law doesn't mean it is right.
Yeah, but the reality on the ground is that there are kids that age who are actually
But
working.
I am saying they shouldn't. It is a flaw of the society. It is problematic. Even at 18, young men and women are not that, they are not that mature. How can you put say that because it's a law? How can you put a 15-year-old in
But
employment?
isn't that why they describe that as light work?
What is light work? If the person is being paid, the person is employed. So I think we should have to really look at it. We cannot put our 15-year-olds in employment because there is a law.
Okay.
A 15-year-old should be in school, being educated. If he finishes JSS, she finishes JSS, and she or he decides that I want to go and work, and that child will be maybe 17, 18.
But you finish JSS usually around the age of 15.
Yes, so you go into SS. That is why there's a free SHS. If you are doing this, why do we have free SHS then? Because we want to encourage the young ones to go into secondary school. Yes, sorry, I meant to say that if you go into, when you finish SHS and you don't want to continue, at least
Then you can work.
Yes, you are an adult. You are grown. But when you finish JSS and you go and work, then what happens to your future? What kind of work would that be? You don't have any serious certificate, you don't have any professional training, and you go and work. That is an argument for another day, but it is wrong.
Okay.
And it has to be changed. Wherever it is coming from, whether ILO or wherever, it should be changed. Go to America, go everywhere. Those who make these laws, in their own countries, 15-year-olds don't work. They are in school. So when we talk about employment, there's a difference between creating the employment and recruiting.
Let me just bring this in. Because you're talking about this, I'm just trying to Google some information.
Yeah.
So it says that here that if you are 14 or 15 years old in the US, you can only work outside of school hours. The federal youth employment requirements limits the times of day and the number of hours.
Yes.
But then 14 to 15 years, they are still allowed to work.
No, but you're allowed to work because you are in school. Do you get me? We are creating the impression as if you can decide to work without being in school. That is work that's after school. Some people will go to maybe targets and they are not even many. Do you get it? Sometimes it's some training, even on the job training. They are not even paid any amount. Do you get it? But you see the difference that they are in school. That is what I'm talking about. They are in school.
But Nana, that's what I'm saying. The
So you
reality
see
on the ground
the
we see
data-
so many of these kids
But I am saying
helping
that-
their parents to sell wares, and then after that they go to school. They go to school, come back, and then they go and sell tomatoes,
But I am
plantain.
saying that is not work. If I'm helping me, I used to help my mother in the shop. It wasn't work. Do you get me? I wasn't working. But in Kumasi at KJTia, the central market, I used to help my mother. I wanted to be there. I enjoyed that place. So after school, even though my father wasn't very keen on that, after school you find me in there. Because the place is, I mean, like Babel, everybody is around. I move from shop to shop and I'm in there with my mother. It doesn't mean that I am working. And when my mother finishes, I always wanted to count the money and I'll carry all the money into boxes. Then we take it home. I wasn't paid for it. So you don't have to capture that one in your data.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
If you are capturing your data, which is official data, you should have official people who work officially and they are paid. And it should even be illegal for you to employ a 15-year-old.
Then that means they'll have to change the laws.
Yeah,
I get
that
what you
is
mean.
what I'm saying. They have to change the laws.
All right. But in that case, I mean, just for you to land on this matter, in the case where the NPP says that we've created some 2.1 million jobs so far, and this we heard the vice president actually say it himself, that they have been able to create that number of jobs. He did admit, however, that there's still a lot more to be done, but they've created the most jobs under any government in this republic. And yet we still have indications that there are still a lot of young people who have been unemployed.
That is what I'm saying, that there's a difference between recruitment and creation of jobs. If you recruit people into the police, the army, the SEPs, the immigration, it is not, you haven't created jobs. It is replacement. Maybe some people have gone on retirement, some people have resigned, there are some vacancies here and there. There is the need to add on. That is not creation of jobs. You have recruited people into a certain environment, a certain sector.
But that's employment. Is that not?
You say you have employed, recruited, but you haven't created. You create jobs when you build factories.
Okay.
You create jobs when you bring on new establishments. Then you fill them up. Do you get me? You create jobs when, I mean, there is some intervention that you are doing that is bringing jobs.
Okay.
You create jobs when you have brought in an import substitution law that is preventing importation into the country, and there are factories being built and we are producing in Ghana and there are exports, and because of that a lot of people have been employed into packaging and all manner of things.
Then that is creation of
Yes,
jobs.
you have created
So
jobs.
let me ask this. So let's say that we're running a 24-hour economy,
Yes.
like the NDC is asking for. And then there are more people who are recruited into, these security agencies, because the former president has said that that's another way of curbing unemployment in the country. You are saying that even if they increase the number of security men and women in the various agencies, that is not job creation.
No, that is recruitment.
So does that still address the issue of unemployment?
Yes, it does. But I'm
Okay.
saying that you are asking me that His Excellency
Dr. Mahmoud
said
Bawumia
they have created.
Yes.
But creation is different from recruitment. Recruitment is still employment, but you
Okay.
haven't created the jobs. The 24-hour economy, as it runs 24 hours, is going to create more jobs, because then more openings are going to come on. I even gave an example. I was thinking to, I said, for instance, the market women who sell. Today, if I'm working in an establishment where we're closed at 5, after 5, if the market is closed, I can't go and shop.
Yeah.
But if there's a 24-hour economy, everybody is working around the clock. I can go to Makola, I can go to all the markets to go and also buy.
Okay.
Did you understand?
Please land for me so I can go to Aisha.
So I am saying that the recruiting people into jobs is different from creation of jobs. Because the creation of jobs, you put an effort to it. Do you get me? We have maybe a company that is assembling computers. You have created it. We have a company that's assembling solar panels in Ghana, of which I believe it has to be done. Instead of we saying that, the NPP saying that they reduce the taxes on solar panels, we should rather think about how do we put factories in place to create the solar panels. How do we use our lithium to do batteries for solar panels, to do inverters for solar panels in Ghana? In that case, you put a factory, you have a factory line. You have a place where people go and work. You have all manner of workers there. You have accountants, you have communicators, you have everybody, you have those on the factory floor. You have created something for people to work in it.
Aisha, do you agree with this? And in that case, I mean, your party has indicated that the way they're going to curb unemployment is with a 24-hour economy. It's still under debate as to whether this is feasible, whether this is already in existence or not. Will this be able to solve the situation of unemployment in the country?
Thank you, Bella. As for the 24-hour economy policy, it's clear. We should not allow people who have stayed outside the country and experienced three-shift system and knows how it has contributed to economic growth in other countries come here and deceive us that it's not feasible after enjoying all the benefits outside the country. It's very feasible. But Bella, let's talk about the current unemployment rate
yeah.
that has been reported. You see, I'll start by saying that when you lie about creating 2.1 million jobs, the unemployment rate will expose you. The Ghana unemployment rate shoots up. That increases from 1.2 to 1.3 million. Yet, Alhaji Bawumia says he has created 2.1 million jobs. As for the stories about the job creation, I don't even want to go into the inconsistencies because previously it was 5.3, then it moved to 2.3, then now 2.1 million jobs. I don't know how they concoct those figures to come and announce to us.
Well,
But
they
you
don't
see-
concoct. They organize surveys and researches, and that's how. Oh, you're talking about the
So-
NPP.
so, yes,
Well,
it's
they
the-
probably also organize their own surveys, don't they?
I'm talking about the 2.3 million jobs that has reduced to 2.1 million
Okay.
jobs. That previously used to be 5.3 million jobs. You see, if you have created 2.1 million jobs, it should reflect in the economy because that means that a lot of economic activities will be going on. There will be a beef up in economic growth. Your interest rate, the reflection of your interest rate will be good. Unfortunately, all economic indicators are pointing down south. The economic indicators do not support any of these rhetorics. As we speak, the debt to GDP, which was handed over to you at 56%, is hovering above 100% as we speak. Interest rates, which was handed over to the NPP at 3.65, is now hovering around 29.24%. Growth rate, which has even been projected to grow at 2.8%, is going to be the worst ever in Africa in 2024.
Because of COVID?
Because of COVID, we are being the worst because of COVID. What about those other African countries?
Well, you know, we moved to negative because of COVID at that time.
Are
And
we
so-
the only? Are we the
and
only?
So could that be the
country?
reason why our
You
growth
see,
rate is
COVID
still
did us.
low?
Let's not even go there because COVID did us more good than it did us bad. And we were all here when the Auditors General report came out. The kind of things we saw, the kind of money we had, how we expended those monies, how we can't even account for some of the monies, and how NPP apparatchiks had to come out to tell us how they shared the COVID money. So let's not even go there. But you see, and the NDC, what was the unemployment rate when they were going all over, you know, organizing demonstrations, creating groups that call themselves the Unemployment Association of Ghana or something?
What was it?
It was 8.4. Today we are almost 15%, almost double of what we had on the NDC. Yet, Alhaji Bawumia wants us to believe that he has created more jobs, or his government has created more jobs than any other government in the history of Ghana. What a contradiction. What an irony.
It's not possible.
How possible can that be if you have created more jobs than any government in the history of Ghana? How come your unemployment rate has become the worst?
Well, he says that 975,000 jobs were created in the private sector, 1.2 million in the public sector, and is verifiable and identifiable data which is available.
So he created jobs in the private sector.
He didn't create, the NPP is what he says created the jobs.
In the
not
private
him.
sector. These are stories for the Marines, not for discerning Ghanaians. You see, even at Dr. Bawumia's own backyard, according to the report, Northeast region, it has recorded the worst unemployment rate. 61.5% of the male working force in Dr. Bawumia's backyard, Northeast region, are unemployed. 51% of females are unemployed. 51% of the females are unemployed, while 61% of the females are also unemployed. What kind of job did Dr. Bawumia create? Even the MPP serial callers in the northern region, they have laid down their tools, citing reasons. According to them, they have no jobs despite their qualification. They do not even have, the farmers amongst them do not even have support to boost their farming activities. No financial support to do business. No scholarship for students. Gadget to even lie in support of Bawumia, they don't have. Yet, Alhaji Bawumia wants us to believe that he has created more jobs. He has done us so much good while the economy is suffering. You see, like I said, all other indicators are pointing down south. Even the misery index score, how happy Ghanaians feel when the economy is doing good. Used to be at 23.5. Today it's 47.7. It tells you Ghanaians are more miserable than they used to be under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
There's 1D, 1F. It's created, we're told, about 160,000 jobs, etc. So if you're saying that Ghanaians are more miserable, some jobs have been created. The Vice President himself admits that, yes, they've done some, but they've not been able to
What's
do
the name
everything.
of the factory in your district?
What's the name of the factory in your district as well?
I don't have my district do not have a factory.
Okay.
That's what I'm asking you. Probably you have.
I'm not aware.
Yes. So where did they concoct all those lies from? You don't partner with private businesses. You should support them with His Excellency John Dramani Mahama did when we were in power. Then you come and tout it as creating factories in districts.
Okay, please learn for me so I can go to Helen.
Those things are scam. So you see, all indicators are pointing down south. As we speak, Nivea Ghana has moved out of the country because the conditions are not right for them to stay and even employ people. Game has shut down. Dark and Lovely, they've moved out of the country. You have collapsed banks. Businesses have rolled up, yet you claim to have created jobs. Look, you have created more unemployment than you have created jobs, Alhaji Bawumia. You have created more unemployment than you have created jobs. And it is the reason why we are suffering as a country. It is the reason why our interest rate is so high. Today, as we speak, investors don't even find this country attractive enough to come and invest so that there will be some job creation for the youth. The economic conditions are not right. So this story about creating 2.1 million jobs is neither here nor there. We know it's just something that Alhaji Bawumia is trying to tell us so that, as usual of him, he can take credit for what doesn't even exist.
All right, let Ellen come in so that she can respond, because many people are probably asking what are the reasons, especially if your party has touted so many jobs created. How is it that we're still recording these numbers of unemployment in the country?
Unemployment of Ghanaian young people has been a thing that has worried us for years. It is not under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia's government that unemployment has been worrying us. I mean, in the previous government of the NDC, the unemployment situation was so bad that we even had associations of graduates who called themselves unemployed. If you remember, in 2011, the then Minister for Information, Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, went out, came around telling all of us that the government had created or made opportunities and had employed, or the country had employed at that time 6 million people. And then his Minister for Labor, may he so rest in peace, Honorable Iti Mensah, came out to say that he had no idea where Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa was getting all those, information and numbers from. Unlike them, we do have names, figures attached to the 2.1 million that we are talking about. I have the data here.
Okay.
And when Alhaji Bawumia was speaking, and after that, if you remember, his spokesperson, Dr. Gideon Boako, also came and he gave us the details. He gave from housing all the way to SNIT and gave us figures. So for housing at that time, he said, these are actually even the 2022 figures, because the 2023 ones are just now coming. We had done 15,000 in housing for the security services. We had done almost 269,000. I mean, there are breakdowns all the way. That adds up to exactly the 2.1.
But anybody
million that
can
we are talking
concoct
about.
these numbers.
Nobody can concoct
So
it.
if you give us just numbers,
When
Where's the evidence
no,
on the
when
ground?
Dr. Gideon Boako came to talk about it, when the vice president spoke about it, all of you, I'm trying to say all of you, I mean the whole media space, everybody went, we asked for figures, it was given. I also have these figures, and it is out in the open. This is not secret. All you have to do is to Google jobs created by the NPP. Is it enough? No. It can never be enough, because every year we have new people entering the labor market. We have women and other young people who are being laid off from their jobs. The business environment is changing. So is it enough? No. What I find disturbing about this particular report is the fact that they said more women are becoming unemployed, meaning they were employed at a point.
Yeah.
And then along the line, something happened and they became unemployed. What we have to look into is what is happening with these women. What's made them unemployed? What are the situations? Yes, I mean, there are things that happen to us women that is not politically based. You have a job, you finish university, or you've gone to look for a job, you've got it. You start working. Bella, by the time you get married or you get pregnant, you are out of a job.
Yeah.
You will not go home and come back to your position. Even if you are allowed to stay on, the males who you were on the same level with, by the time you come, they have been promoted. And you will not be promoted because you are likely to have more children. If some of us are going to state our issues about employment in this country, and the reason why most of us moved into our own businesses, those are the issues we should be looking at, because these women do actually get the jobs. Then along the line,
they lose
it. And looking at unemployment figures from the as I call them, the annual government that wants to come back. If you do the comparisons, comparatively, the NPP has done well. But we are not on it because we still need to do more. And for me, we should zone in and be very specific, especially about the women, because we are more than the men.
So what are we doing?
And so
And that would be my final question
we'll have
to
to
you.
look at these figures. I believe that the new minister of gender, when she goes through and she becomes, is one of the things we should push her to look at.
Okay.
What is it that it's the females, the things that we are losing their job? We already know what the problems are. Perhaps we should be talking to the companies,
Okay.
setting up spaces for us to be able to thrive in the industry. You cannot develop a country without us.
Okay, all right. Well, you cannot develop a country without the young people as well. We do hope that this can be addressed so that jobs will be created. Ellen Amadeko is a member of the NPP communications team. Nanaya Achimpim Jantwa is a former general secretary for the CPP. Also, at the moment, she is the executive secretary, COSECA, and political analyst. And Aisha Lassan is a member of the NDC communications team. Roland has a conversation. Now, data has been put out indicating that more girls are having sex earlier than boys. What could be the reason for that? You want to be, then you should stay on longer, because we have Bright. Oh, he will. So let me just give the names of the guests who are coming on. Please, just a few minutes, producer. So we have Bryce Appiah, Executive Director, Child Rights International, and Mrs. Catherine Onwidokit, the Family Life Consultants for Family Renaissance International. Look forward to that conversation right after this. And Ellen will be joining so she can talk about it. Keep watching. We'll be back.